you're invited to the castle of Dr. Brain. It's Amigos, episode 306. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
Today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about the castle of Dr. Brain.
Ooh.
Aaron, where do you stand on castles? Are you a fan?
I love the castles, but I like White Castle, for example. I'm a big fan of that. You know, so that. But yeah, castles are great. There's a castle in Kentucky. I don't know. You ever been to that place?
No.
Yeah, there's a big castle out. I think they rent it now for romantic encounters, like weekend overnight stays. Yeah, it's a straight up castle.
Are they really upfront about that? Like, if you want a place to have a tryst?
Aren't you watching the eyebrows? I mean, it's a bed and breakfast or whatever. But
bed and breakfast. You know what that means?
You're not gonna take the kids to the castle, and just chill out. I mean, that's not the way it goes down. This is a romantic. This is like honeymoon levels of joy.
Okay.
Have you been to a real castle? Like stood on one? Because you've been over to Europe a bunch of times.
Well, on my honeymoon, we went to the Weston Glass Museum.
Is that a castle?
No,
that's where
I
you
think
went
it's
on your
the opposite
honeymoon?
of a castle.
Is that near the? Yeah. Is that up near the insane asylum?
It is. We went to that too.
I'm assuming
we stumbled in on a tour and were asked to leave because we did not pay.
Oh, you're kidding me. Well, you know how to show a girl a good time on the old honeymoon, don't you?
That's right. That's right.
Let's try a bootleg
asylum tour. All she had to look forward to
tour
for the rest of her life with me.
She should check herself into that asylum.
Would you live in a castle if you had the option?
Yeah, I would. That'd be awesome. Heck yeah, I would. Would you?
Would you design it to look like a real medieval castle, or would you have it be all wacky, like the castle of Dr. Brain?
You don't want me to design a castle. That would be bad times. I mean, are you kidding
Would you rather live in a castle than a mansion?
Oh, yeah, because castles have turrets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Castles have murder holes. Castle had spiral staircases. You know what I'm saying? Castles have big, huge bonfires in the castle. You know what I'm saying? Because they're made of stone. They're a big, huge stone. It's like a stone. It's like a stone small village with a bunch of buildings. That'd be awesome. You know,
the coolest castle I've ever been to was when I went to France and I went to Mont Saint-Michel.
Ooh.
Are you familiar with this place?
What was the name of it again?
Mont Saint-Michel.
No,
Mount
I never heard of it.
Saint Michael.
No.
So it was built in medieval times, probably 800 or 900 AD.
Yeah.
And it's literally built out of a mountain. Like they literally just like chiseled a castle out of this island.
Yeah.
Okay. It's incredible to see this thing looming over the distance. Have you ever seen Howl's Moving Castle before, that Studio Ghibli movie?
Yes, long ago.
Okay.
I saw that.
There's scenes where they show the castle off in the distance and you just see the silhouette.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this thing looks like when you approach it from the road. It's incredible. And the fact that this thing was built, over 1,000 years ago is crazy. No machines, of course. It was all built from human hands.
Yeah.
And it has a really interesting history. It was a monastery for a long time. Then during the French Revolution, they turned it into a prison, and it was a prison for a while. And so it's a really, really neat place. So that's probably my favorite castle I've ever been to. But that all said, I have not been to the castle in Kentucky, so I'm reserving judgment.
It's better.
Yeah.
And the history is probably richer too, because it's Kentucky. You know how many hillbillies it takes to build a castle. Who knows? That's the kind of crap you find out on your honeymoon. I mean, have you been to any of the because you were in England, Scotland, all these places? Have you been to any the great British castles that I see on TV?
It's funny. I don't think I've been to some country estates. I don't recall being to any to any castles in England. I think really castles are more of a Scottish thing or an Irish thing. I'm sure there are a lot of British. Well, I guess there's a castle in York. So yeah, I've been to the castle at York. But the coolest castles that I remember being just like seeing from the side of the road or the side of the rail, I took a train from Prague in the Czech Republic to Dresden in Germany. And man, it was like driving through Cinderella land. All of the castles and things that you pass by on going through there, that was an amazing, amazing train trip. So that's probably the coolest castle area I've ever been to.
It's funny you should mention this. I'm going to go, because I was thinking how cool that would be. You're going in the train, you're going by multiple castles, right? Yeah. My buddy at work tried to book a train ride to go to the beach, right? America's train system is crap.
Yes.
We're driving by outhouses, not castles. This train, he could take the train up to into Virginia. Then he had to take a bus from Virginia to like North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here? Why can't we have a train system over here?
My mom took the train to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And it took her, I think, 36 hours to get there.
Everything going west gets routed through Chicago.
Right.
When I was looking to get a train to go to Houston, you had to go from West Virginia, which we have a train station, up to Chicago, which is stupid because that's the exact opposite direction, as you know. And then you take the train down to like San Antonio, and then it's time for your 8-hour bus trip because there is no more train to go to.
Right. Right.
So what are we doing?
It's ridiculous. So. But getting back to the castle thing, of course, all the people in the UK are disparaging my remark that castles aren't known in the UK. Of course, that's false, and I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And of course, I forgot when I went to Amiga Ireland, Athlone Castle. There's a castle right there in Athlone. So I guess I've seen more castles than I thought I had.
I'd like to visit the castle where they filmed the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was in the UK somewhere. That'd be cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they film that movie live on location in the UK?
I don't think they filmed it. I mean, what do you mean by that? They did film at the castle. I don't know if they.
It wasn't all in live, one shot, like that Birdman movie.
It was. It was like an Orson Welles. It was like one long hour and 40-minute shot, including all the singing, the costume changes, the bits where they're turned into statues. How'd they do it? I don't know. You've never seen Rocky Horror, have you?
Maybe I haven't. I don't know.
That's what I thought.
So Aaron, why don't we get out of this riveting discussion and get into some of this week's Amiga news?
Yes, sir.
It's been an eventful week here.
You walked over him again, Boat.
It's been an eventful week here. We're going to start things off, Aaron, with the latest edition. I believe this is issue number 6 of Amiga Addict magazine. This issue should be winging its way towards all subscribers right now. Of course, it's also available in digital form. This includes the cover story this month is all about deluxe paint. And, of course, all of the influence that it's had on people over the years. There's also details about an Amiga gaming tournament that Amiga Addict is hosting on AntStream, so you'll want to check that out.
Ooh.
There's game reviews. There's a movie licenses feature about Amiga games. There's a show report about Revision 2021. I know we just covered that a couple weeks ago. So lots of stuff. Of course, Amiga Addict jam-packed the gills, full of great Amiga content. So make sure you check that out. If you are not a subscriber to Amiga Addict, be sure and head on over to amiga-addict.com and you can check it out.
That's the official like deluxe paint King Tut thing that you all back in the day. It was like all the ads,
right?
That is the appropriate image to have on the screen.
It's either that or the Venus de Milo.
Yeah.
Those are the two.
Those are the big ones. That's the number one with a bullet, Boat.
Yeah. All right. And speaking of Amiga Addict, there was a bit of a kerfluffle online this week. Why don't you fill us in on this story, Aaron?
Well, there's not a ton of information out there, but the folks over at Amiga Addict put out a tweet that said, and I'll quote, but if I may, "We've received an undesirable trademark opposition notification today from Amiga Kit Limited. We simply applied to register our logo and Amiga Addict brand name. Any reason as to why you are trying to harm a community-led Amiga magazine that is helping the Amiga scene, Amiga Kit?" And Amiga Kit responded with something to the effect of like this was sort of just a legal thing, no big deal. I was going to bury this, and I'm going to bury it to a certain degree, but word on the street is that this probably won't be a huge deal. It's hard to say. And that, in fact, I've heard some people say this is just the copyrights for Amiga are held in crazy ways all over the place. And I've read that Amiga Kit has some sort of British copyrights on the name Amiga or something. Who knows? I'm not gonna dip my toe in the pool of this. So if this is just some sort of rudimentary legal doodad, okay. But here's what gets me. when you send a Amiga addict just out here trying to have a magazine, okay? When you send them something like this in the mail without any prior communication, that makes you an idiot. And it makes you someone who doesn't really understand the way things work. Because if you expected to send this to Amiga addict and they were just going to sit on it, you're nuts. Of course, they're going to be offended by this. And so when they posted this tweet, it instantly turned the credibility of Amiga Kit into garbage. Now, Amiga Kit, I've ordered from Amiga Kit plenty of times back in the day. Now, if you'll recall, about 150 episodes ago, we started my long wait for my key rod that I ordered from them. I've had a couple instances where their customer service and their shipping have not been up to spec. But hey, that'll happen to anybody. I'm not going to hold it against them. I got nothing to say about them as a company that's bad. People have had great relationships with Amiga Kit. People have had not so good relationships with Amiga Kit. But all Amiga Kit would have had to have done was to open up a email browser or an email and just sent one over to these guys and said, listen, we've got a little problem. Can we get this going? No, that's not the way we do it in the Amiga community. We got to get the legal department in on it. So what they did here was they pissed off a lot of people. Now, is their business going to take a hit on this? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Because they've made themselves out to be the bad guys. You know, and they are the bad guys, as far as I can tell. If they think there's a copyright problem, you know, there were better ways to approach it. We're trying to build a nice community around here, and every time we get something going, I mean, these guys are making a magazine out of nothing. You know, they literally brought this thing out of the ether. They're trying to put it together, and instantly, here comes someone to rain on the parade. So I hope the next time a company thinks that this is a good idea, they look at this example of what a dumb thing it was to do, and they take it to heart, and they try to do the right thing before they do the dumb thing, Bode.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything that you said. I think that I'm a big believer in copyright law and in upholding the copyright that you have. But if you're running a business that depends on the goodwill of the people in this particular community, you've got to keep that in mind, because you can win the battle and lose the war real easy with something like this. And some people think that Amiga Addict was out of line for tweeting the the notice, whatever notice it was. They say, well, you should have just kept this private. But the thing is, this isn't the first time that Amiga Kit has kind of thrown its weight around and gone after some of these other entities that are of no threat to it as a business. And sometimes you need to bring these things to light and show people that that this company has a habit of sending out these notices to try and who knows if they were trying to coerce Amiga Addict or threaten them by doing this. I don't know if that was the intent or not. And again, this all comes down to poor communication on Amiga Kit's part. Most of the problems that people have with Amiga Kit have nothing to do with the products that they sell. It's the lack of communication that results in people having a bad experience. Like if you're experiencing delays, well, that's okay. Send out a message saying, hey, we're experiencing delays. Don't just, with the Keyraw thing, how many times did Amiga Kit reach out to you and say, hey, we haven't forgotten about you?
Then they blame me for not getting the better shipping. It's like, listen, right. I've just got the standard thing on your site. Listen, let me jump right in here real quick.
Okay,
all right. And full disclosure, and you know this, but we've got a lot of our buddies work over at Amiga Addict, and we've known for a long time. Good people, okay? And so I know these guys aren't idiots, all right? Because I know them, all right? Amiga Kit needs to learn a little something. They're not the only kid on the block anymore, okay? There's plenty of other places that you can get quality Amiga, retro, and modern stuff. Plenty of them, including stuff ran by people we know. Good people, okay? So we need to keep that in mind. You should be advertising in Amiga Addict. You shouldn't be going against them. One of the great things about having an Amiga magazine pop up is it gives you the ability to demonstrate what you've got. You can show off your products. For the love of God, why would you want to take that away? That's a boon for your business. It's not a detriment. Think a little bit before you do dumb things.
So anyway, this is still what they call a developing story.
Correct.
Obviously, there have been a lot of people that have been turned off to Amiga Kit as a result of this, and Amiga Addict has gotten a couple extra subscriptions out of this, so it's worked out well for Amiga Addict. But This may be the first and the last that we hear from the Amiga Kit legal team. Of course, I'm sure that if they do try to take any action, we will hear about it again on Twitter. But for right now, we're just going to leave that there and move on.
Correct.
So, Aaron, our next story is about Dark Angel. Do you know anything about Dark Angel?
I believe wasn't that a real a TV show on Fox that had a really?
Are you talking about the Buffy spinoff?
It wasn't a Buffy spinoff, was it? Was it?
Yeah, it had that really dark, brooding vampire.
No, that was just
on it.
Angel. That was straight up Angel. He wasn't dark. He was frothy and light.
Dark.
No, this is Dark Angel. Wasn't Jessica Alba or one of these really? Yeah, bam, there it is. Brock knew. She was in it. She played this stealthy sort of like, I don't know, like her body, her brain and stuff had been like, I don't know, genetically screwed with something. She was super duper, like a superhero. I never watched the show, but I saw some of the highlights. It looked dumb. But this, I don't know. I'm assuming this is.
Well, I don't think that this has anything to do with that, because this is a game that is in the tradition of Flashback or Another World. And what this is it was originally released as a public domain demo. And all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, they found the full version, and it's just now been released.
Oh, wow.
Pretty crazy. This game looks great. I mean, it does not look like a PD game. This is a fully rotoscoped adventure. It's in that same kind of vein, puzzle platformy vein. And of course, Indie Retro News breaking the scoop on this in conjunction with Saberman. But as you can see, it definitely, it's got that same look about it as the aforementioned commercially released games do.
Man, that does look pretty good, Bo. I gotta say, that looks not too bad at all.
Yeah. And so I guess AmiPeg user worked with a guy called Nutjack. If Nutjack's in town, it's going to be a success. This is they've recovered the full version of this game, and you can play it right now.
Are you watching this demo? This guy comes on screen looking all cool, and every time he's instantly murdered.
Well, that's the way these games go. You've played Another World before.
I was going to say, they must have captured footage of me playing this game without my knowledge. He just walks on the screen, and he's instantly shot and killed. This looks like a Flashback, but it runs. It looks. I mean, when this guy takes off, I mean, if you look how fast he's moving, man.
Yeah,
he is moving. Yeah, this looks real good, Boatster. Good. This is a good find. I hadn't heard about this. Of course, unrelated to Jessica Alba, but maybe we'll get a patch somewhere where they can kind of patch her in over top of the guy. I would be okay with that. Looks good though, Boat.
All right, and our next story is this is more on the productivity side. If you have recently upgraded to OS 3.2, but you yearn for the simple pleasures of life, you want your workbench to look more like a classic workbench, you can check this thing out. This is Best Classic Workbench 2.0.
Yeah, not a lot to see here on this one.
for the Amiga. And this is basically, it's sort of a skin that sets on top, as far as I understand it, it sets on top of OS 3.2 and makes things look more classic-like. Now, Aaron, are you real particular about the way that your workbench looks?
It's funny because I never go to Workbench. I never do anything but play games. That's not a joke. That's a shoot. I've got my rig. They just come right up to the game menu. I never do anything in Workbench ever unless I absolutely have to. Those days are pretty much over for me. What about you?
No, I am exactly the same way. Now, if the game doesn't have an auto loader, I start to get a little skittish because moving around in the file system, I start to get nervous that I'm going to mess something up forever. So
yeah.
But if you are the kind of person that uses your Amiga for doing other stuff besides playing games, or you just like hanging out, firing up your computer and having the workbench on, just gives you the warm fuzzies, check this out. This is over on English Amiga Board. Of course, you can click the link in the show notes to discover it. But thank you to David Z for posting this up on the Discord. I would not have known about this otherwise.
While we're talking about stuff along these lines, Boat, they've just and this isn't necessarily, in fact, it's completely off topic, but they have just released all the news on the new Windows 11, Bo. What do you think of Windows 11? Have you seen any of the hype
You know, I knew that this was going on, but I have not seen anything about it yet. So you're gonna have to fill me in, man.
Well, here are the selling points as this video describes. Number one, they've moved the start button to the middle of the screen. A huge selling point that gets repeated 100 times, right?
Because you know that's what I really wanted out of my Windows.
And then they've also, here's something else they repeat a million times. Listen. The corners are no longer, there are no more corners. Nobody puts windows in a corner. All the edges are rounded now, Bode. They're rounded for your pleasure.
Rounded edges, and a start button in the middle of the screen. It sounds like another operating system.
Now get this, it gets better. You can see behind the windows. This kind of a glassy effect, Bode.
Now this is not new. They did this in Vista.
No, this is better now. It's even more glassy. All right, you could throw a baseball and hit this and break it. It's that glassy. They've also integrated stuff like Xbox gaming, because I've never thought of having that in my Windows. That was a pretty incredible feature. They've also got a gimmick here where you could basically, they've got these predetermined Windows positions. You can click on them, then you can kind of click on the different windows, and then you can, and then that's where they are. And you can also unplug your laptop from your monitor, and then plug it back in, and all the crap that was on your monitor will be right back in the same spot. That's not bad.
Thank you for putting in a feature that should have been in Windows since the beginning.
It also, apparently, it's going to have some kind of like voice to type thing. Oh, get this. They've put this feature in that's, if you go through the Microsoft, by the way, they've completely rebuilt the Microsoft store from the ground up, Bode, to accommodate this new Windows. And what you can do in here is you can actually go to the Microsoft store, then you can go to the App Store like you would on your phone, and you could sort of run maybe run Android phone apps, kinda, but not really. That's a work in progress right there. And then you've also got HDR, which if you've got a decent video card, you've already got that. So a lot of people are looking at this and they're like, wait a minute, this looks like they've taken like the Apple OS, like the visual aspects of it, and then they kind of smacked it on the old Windows. Well, that's pretty much what everyone thinks is happening. And as far as I can tell now, you can't complain too much. It's a free upgrade as far as I can tell. Right. And by free upgrade, I mean they're going to violently make you upgrade. So that's how they do it now.
I'm sure that there will be some ads going on in this thing too in the old start menu.
Here's a chilling aspect of it. Don't worry about updates anymore. Big, huge updates. They've reduced updates by 40%, and now they'll just seamlessly do that in the background without you knowing what's happening. Beautiful. I should mention that during the live streaming of this event, the stream screwed up multiple times. So you can do that. So I guess what we're saying is stick with your Amiga. I think that the update to the new Workbench was a substantially better upgrade than what's coming out for Windows 11. But I wanted to touch on it because it is sort of relevant.
Yeah. Well, that is our final news story of the week. So we're going to move on to.
No, we're not done yet. There's a little T-shirt you want to talk about.
Oh well, actually, we've got a couple stories that aren't really Amiga news in the classic sense. The first one, Aaron, and again, we're having issues with the site because it doesn't have Amigathon. Aaron, Amigathon is coming. Amigathon is less than 1 month away.
Yes, finally, we're going to talk about this. I've been waiting.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
When July arrives, you know it's coming. July 24th, 2021, Amigathon 2021, Amigathon 5 will be descending to your ears and your eyes. We have a bigger event than ever planned this year, including lots and lots of special guests. We've got, of course, the Amiga luminaries. Amiga Bill is going to be joining us. The one and only Kim Justice. We have notable Amiga streamer Ash Said Hi. We have Control-Alt-Reese is going to be joining us for a special segment. So we've got lots and lots of special guests that are going to be appearing. But in addition to that, Aaron, we're also going to be doing something special towards the end of Amigathon. And why don't you explain what that is?
Sure. Bode had a real cunning plan. I have to say, I thought it was great. So you'll recall that for one, I think just 1 year, one fateful year, but we did this thing for 24 straight hours.
Yes.
And it almost killed Boat, and it made me want to kill Boat as well. I didn't kill myself, and like sort of a murder-suicide pact, because it was brutal. And so we've went back to like 10, 12 hours. Well, this year, by God, we're going back to the 24-hour format with a gimmick. And the gimmick is the last 12 hours of the show, we're going to be taken up by various streamers that we know, streamers from the Discord, some of our good friends. I can tell you, I guess we can go ahead and announce some of these streamers, can't we, Boat, since they're going to be taken down. So the first couple hours, our good buddy and our top shelf streamer, the guy that got us into the gig, our buddy Rob Flack O'Hara, will be taking on the task of continuing the party, continuing the fundraiser. In he'll be the leadoff act. And then I know our good buddy David Z from Wide World of Retro, the 3D printer extraordinaire, will be getting him some in there. And we also have contacted and confirmed that our good buddy Stevie from the Coco Talk Show will be picking up the last hour of the 12 hours on the tail end. He'll be doing an hour segment there. So we've already got those guys locked in, Boat, and more on the way. And if you're interested, there's a sign-up sheet in our Amigathon section of the Discord. Hop in there, get yourself a time slot. There's plenty of slots left. We'd love to see anyone that likes, any streamers that are interested in Europe, in Australia, New Zealand, anywhere, in the UK, hop in, grab you a time slot. It doesn't matter if you're a top shelf, you do it every week streamer, or someone who's just sort of figuring out how to do it. Just get in there and give it a shot. It's a great way to get exposure and to raise some money, Boat.
Yeah. So, and I did want to mention the other folks that are going to be joining us during the main portion. We've got Dan Wood, Ravi Abbott,
yes.
10-minute Amiga Retrocast is going to be there too. We're going to have a mod and depaint expo. So if you're getting ready to gear up for the old creative competition and you want to demonstrate your work a little early, feel free. We're not going to have a competition per se. We'll leave that to Tenmark and Pixel Vixen, but we will have an expo where if you just want, we'll just be playing cool stuff, and of course, tons and tons of Amiga gaming action.
I think Ravi didn't. Am I nuts here, or didn't he record? Like, he has or will be recording like a special DJ set?
That's right. Ravi's going to be recording a set, so it's going to be
great.
Tons and tons of great stuff. So yeah, that is again July 24th at noon UTC.
Yes, tune in, won't you?
All right, Aaron, and our final story comes from RetroRewind.ca. Now, Aaron, have you ever considered being a nudist?
Considered it? Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Is this a lived experience for you?
You know, there's a big nudist colony right down the road here.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely.
Are you talking about that place in Culloden?
Well, I guess that's sort of Culloden. But, yeah.
What else would you call it?
I don't know. It's way out in the sticks, Bo. I don't know what you call it. The sticks?
I don't know that they're nudists, are they?
Oh, yeah. Buck naked. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew. Well, if you are a recovering nudist, say that you want to start wearing clothes again, I've got something for you. This is a shirt.
What a lead
shirt,
in.
Aaron. Not just any shirt. This is a Retro Rewind t-shirt.
Beautiful.
And let me tell you, if you want to be riding in style, if you want to pick up members of the gender that you are attracted to, this is what you need to be wearing, okay? The Retro Rewind t-shirt is emblazoned with that classic Retro Rewind logo, and it can be yours. It can be yours. Pick it up right now over on the site. It's very competitively priced at only $18, and you can save 10% off this or any other order from your Retro Rewind by using the code Amigos10.
All the sizes are available. 10%. Absolutely.
You have one, Aaron. I have one. Lots of people have one. All the cool kids are wearing them.
You haven't given me mine yet, Boat. I'm getting that Saturday.
You're getting it Saturday? I haven't given it to you yet?
No, I don't have mine. Do you think I would have not worn a Retro Rewind shirt if I had one?
I thought I gave it to you.
Listen, sounds like my Retro Rewind shirt got sold or bartered for something.
Listen.
If I see some fancy booze over at the pad.
I'm not saying I sold Frodo your shirt for $45.
Are you kidding me? Frodo wouldn't do that to me. By the way, Frodo's too busy dressed like a penguin with blue hair.
That's true.
He didn't have time to be wearing that.
All right. So anyway, if you have retro needs, if you're looking for goodies for your Amiga, your Commodore 64, whatever you're into, man, RetroRewind.ca has it.
Absolutely.
and we thank them for sponsoring this week's episode. All right, Aaron, it's time. It's time to talk about the castle of Dr. Brain. Let's get into it, man.
Yes, sir. So, it is Edutainment Month, as you may have guessed here on the show, or week, I should say. And so we have went with the almost of the island of Dr. Brain. I'm giving this guy an island, the castle of Dr. Brain. This bad boy released in '92 and shipped on 4 discs, which, there you go. But it's a pretty expansive game. This is ECS OCS, multiple languages, developed by Sierra, of course, and was released on multiple platforms. The classic Mac got this, Bo. Did you ever see this on the Mac back in the day?
The classic Mac got it, but this is the Macs that were in the VGA era. So this wasn't running on like a Mac Plus.
So did you have any of those Macs?
No. Yeah. But the kind of Mac that you have is exactly the kind of Mac that would run this back.
Oh boy, I'm going to break that sucker out. This also got a NEC PC98 release and a DOS release, a VGA release, and a Tandy PC release. That means we got the 16-color special boat with the cool Tandy sound. So not too bad, man. So what is Castle of Dr. Brain? Well, Castle of Dr. Brain is an educational title that has you in the role of someone that's applying to Dr. Brain to get a job.
Right.
And Dr. Brain lives in a real kind of a trippy castle. In the opening segment, it's just this castle. It's got my God, it's got all kinds of crazy stuff in it. It's got whistles and cranks, and it's built on a huge stone head. There's a light bulb. There's all kinds of wacky stuff. It's I'd say the opening scene is pretty interesting. I like the graphical elements that they introduced with it. You know right away you're in for something where they didn't just phone it in. Bode, in my opinion.
There's a lot of really clever art in this game, and the title screen sets you up for that.
Yeah, and I will say I also kind of like the theme of this. The music on this is sort of I won't say the music's great. Okay, what I will say is this. I think the tunes are very clever, but they're kind of only 2/3 done. And what I mean by that is they could have made them really awesome. Instead, they're really good tunes that are kind of lame. Does that?
Well, I'll tell you this. I thought the music was horrible. I turned it off almost immediately. As soon as I found out that there was a way to turn it off, it was not the kind of music that really stimulated intellectual activity. There was a lot of sort of droning tones, and what I really wanted was something like the music in Tetris. I think is a great example, like Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that would have been great. They could have used public domain tunes and really done well. The music in this game, definitely the worst. Well, one of the worst parts of it.
Well, I think what I mostly meant is the opening tune.
The opening tune is okay.
Because it's almost like a really computered up Black Sabbath cover. It's what it reminded me of, which that's okay because I like the Sabbath. But yeah, I mean overall, would I say this is a standout for me? No, I would not. So right away, you get thrown into the deep end by having to just answer a puzzle on the spot before you even get in the door. It's the old Simon puzzle, Bo, where you have to click on the stones, the keystones over the door in a sequential order that as they flash to get inside. And then once you do that, you're in the door. Now, I'm assuming you never played this before, Bo?
No, I have played this before.
Oh, you have played it?
On one of the very early Amigos Plays streams.
Oh!
I mean, this is 2016. I had to go with old Brain.
Nuts, I would have used that footage if I'd known about it.
You should not have used that footage. You made the right choice.
How far did you get back then, if I may ask?
I don't believe, because I was trying not to use a walkthrough, I don't believe I made it out of the first area.
Hey, at least you got past the door. You got that going.
Yeah, I got past the door. I remember that.
So once you get past the door, then it's time to put on your thinking toque. Now, one thing about this game, it gives you multiple levels of difficulty, and also there are multiple ways to get help. The difficulty levels range from novice to the top tier genius level, and I, by the way, played on novice, even though this is meant for kids. So there was a slight bit of embarrassment there.
It's not as if the novice level puzzles are different puzzles. They're the same puzzles. They're just the difficulty is cranked back, but I was the same way as you. You know, I played on the novice level, and this game is no walk in the park, even at that level. So,
well, as we'll demonstrate, because we both couldn't walk through the park. We were too dumb.
yeah.
So you start off in a long hallway. I will say the graphics in this. Listen, the Amiga was in '92. We were still in the batter's box here, but the PC was catching up. Okay, and so what you've got here, in my opinion, is some VGA graphics that they kind of toned down for the Amiga, and they look washed out. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, if you hadn't seen the VGA version and you were just playing this on your stock OCS ECS Amiga, you would be very happy with these graphics. Yeah. But if you did see the MS-DOS version, you would be jealous because the colors don't pop like they do on the DOS version.
And the truth of the matter is, I think they could have made these graphics better. I think this was your straight up, let's port this to the Amiga. I mean, we can, so let's do it. But let's not kill ourselves. So that's what they did. Once you get in there and you're in the first hallway, you've got 2 doors on either side of you, and you've got a elevator at the end of the hall. Elevator you can't do anything with right away. So you'll find out that the levels of the mansion here, the castle, are broken up into various educational aspects or elements. I mean, with a but, because some of them get a little weird. The first level here is math, everyone's favorite, Bode. And what a great way to start the game, to do a bunch of math problems. So you've got your choice. I mean, you can do these in sort of any order you want on this level. You have to, basically, you go in and you've got a cursor. This is all mouse based, I should mention. You've got a cursor that is an eyeball most of the time, or a finger. And the eyeball, you can look at stuff. With the finger, you can actually manipulate stuff. Mm-hmm. And you can go to the top of the screen and change what your cursor is. So when you first click on a door, in this case, it will tell you what the puzzle is, and then you will have to solve it. Okay? And this is pretty much the way it goes for the game. In this case, the first puzzle is you have to take a block of numbers and put them together in a way that completes a problem that uses up all the numbers.
So you've got to solve mathematical computations.
Yes.
With all of the different plus, minus, divide, and multiply. Folks, it's as exciting as it sounds.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say this is not something that's gonna be easy to understand. So let's just say you put numbers in a math problem until you get all the numbers gone, and then once you do that, you win. You get your treasure, which is always a little you get a little like name tag or plaque or whatever it is, and you also have finished off that room, so you don't have to do it again. Thank God. And then you will do the other room on this level, which is also more math. So that's the math level. Right. I don't think we need to get into every aspect of these things.
No. All you really need to know is that the first level is math problem or number problems to greater or lesser extents. I wouldn't really call the sliding tile puzzle a math problem.
I hate it. I hate these. So. You know how long it took me to do this? And I just looked I thought to myself, well, I'm sure I got enough here. I was like, I wanted to hit the button on the mister. I'm like, no.
Well, and
do it for the listeners.
One thing that this game does offer is whenever you solve puzzles, you get things called hint coins. You start out with 1 hint coin, I believe, and you are able to spend those hint coins to get hints, obviously. And what you can do if you're using save states, of course, is use the hint coin on every puzzle and then just save your game and go. Because once you understand what you need to do, then it's the puzzle, of course, becomes a lot easier. Of course, in this day and age of internet walkthroughs, you can also just look up the solutions, and that's also an option to you. But anyway, the first floor, it also doubles as the copy protection floor, because what you do whenever you solve one of these puzzles, you get a word clue, and you have to match that word clue to a symbol in the manual to be able to progress.
Oh, that's every level, I think, has that, doesn't it?
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, because I
couldn't get past the second level, so I don't know.
Let me tell you about these hint coins. All right. So I accidentally spent one. It was an accident on the first level. Okay. And when you get the hints, like I was hoping you'd give the coin, it'd be like, here, we'll do it for you. All right. No. And when you look at the hints, they are long, arduous explanations of a hint. It's like, oh.
Well, they're hints. They're not solutions.
But the hints didn't help me. They were more confusing than the puzzle. I was just like, oh my God, these hints. Holy smokes! So, anyways, yes, you do have hint coins you can use, and when you use them all up, I guess you're boned. So once you get past that boat ride, it's copper protection time. You have to play this with the manual. This has the ever popular Rocket Ranger style copper protection. That, like even in 2021, you must have manual. There's no crack. You gotta have it because it will come up with a different. Every time you complete a room, it says a word, and you have to match those up, like Boat said. So once you do this, you are able to get to the elevator. But guess what? You're not gonna mosey up anywhere. We'll get to that in a moment once you get past this. So the next level is your what is this called? Is this like
this is a time. It's all about time.
Time level. So when you walk in here, I mean, explain the scene, Boat, because I was baffled by this when I first got here.
So you walk in and you've got a water powered cuckoo clock. You've got an old school fire alarm. You've got a time punch, like a time card punch, like when you clock into work. And then you also have a jack-in-the-box and 2 hourglasses. That's what you've got.
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is you have to somehow figure out how to stop the clock at the right time.
Yeah.
You have a 60-second timer in which you need to stop the clock. And you do this by manipulating what look like elevator buttons.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you right now, this is where I bowed out. I didn't bow out. I kept playing, but this is where I had to use the guide because even when I read the walkthrough, they were like, push the top button to do this, then push the middle button, then go to the fourth. But I still didn't understand how I was solving the puzzle. It still wasn't clear to me.
Yeah,
I
agree. I was baffled. And plus, it's real noisy. Noisy. And there's also a guy that goes, you have 60 seconds. You have 30 seconds. And I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Well, it turns out nothing. It just basically resets.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I was like, I just looked. I was like, what am I supposed to do here? So finally, I found an old walkthrough. It says like, it's like 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 2. I was like, bing, 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 bing. And instantly it was like done. I was like,
right.
Huh. I don't know what I did.
And so now the other puzzles in this room I thought were okay. Like there's a hourglass puzzle where hourglasses are counting down sand in various increments. You have to flip them in combinations to get things to happen. The time punch card thing is kind of neat. You're looking for repetitive, or you're looking for the pattern in 3 sets of times. So I could figure out those. But that first puzzle. And then, of course, once you use the walkthrough one time, you're like, listen, I've already failed. I'm just going to keep on doing it.
I will say I figured out the hourglass one. That was because it was a 40-second timer. You just add the two together. It wasn't that, wasn't that tough.
Again, we were playing on the easiest difficulty level, so that probably had something to do with
listen,
it.
that's as hard as I can do. All right, that's it. I can't do any harder. So once you have finished up in the clock room, it's time to fool around with the time card. This is another wacky one, Boat. So Boat mentioned there's one of those time card punch in, punch out clocks on the wall. By the way, have you ever used one of these in real life?
No.
Believe it or not, when I worked at IBM, we used these.
Oh, yeah. Well, I went to Staples last week, and I was tooling around the store. They still sell old punch card units that look just like that. So there are still jobs places where you punch a physical card.
Yeah, the one we had looked very similar to the one in the game here. So what you've got...
I've never really had an hourly job before. I've pretty much always been on salary.
They're no good.
Yeah.
Always been on salary. You're a lucky man, my friend. Well,
I've always had good jobs. I've got nothing to complain about.
So what you do on this thing, it's basically you've got to open up the time clock, and you've got to screw with it, and you've got to set the time to match up what the time you need for the time. Did you understand this? Because I cheated on this one too. I had no idea what this was.
I did understand how this worked.
All right, explain.
You count the amount of time in between the so it'd be like in a very simple manner 2, 4, 6. What's the next time? Okay, and so each one of the three times on the time card, you have to choose the next time that would appear on the time card after that sequence of three times. Now, did I figure that out on my own? I had to look at the first answer on the first card, but then once I understood what to do, I could do it on the other ones, and I did it without the thing. But again, I needed that little push. And maybe if I had a hint coin, of course I'd already spent my hint coin, that's what it would have told me. But listen, I'm not smart. I'm not good at these kind of logic puzzles. So
this next aspect of the game, I don't care how smart you are. And by the way, I got through this with no help. Okay, what do you think? Because the help I gave up. So it's time for the portion of the game that everyone hates the most. The manipulate your thing through the maze aspect. So, both Okar, if he hates one thing that's not AGA, he hates these old school faux 3D exploration gimmicks, don't you, Bode?
This is hell on earth. Is basically what
Yeah.
this is. We played the game on the Coco for the high score challenge a couple weeks ago. It was the worst time of my life. I mean, anytime that you've got a 3D maze where all the walls look the same and you're just bumping into stuff, stumbling around like an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people find that fun in the same way that some people like to swallow safety pins. I'm just not one of these people.
Yeah. Well, this game, what makes this one better, any jerk like a rat can find their way through a maze if they got enough time, but not every jerk can find their way through a 3D up and down multi-floor maze.
Right.
And so that's what you're in here. What you've got here, you get to see the view of, I don't know, yourself or however you're getting through this thing, but you've got little buttons that move you one step up, down, left, right, up, or down. Now, you can only move up or down if you see breaks in the wall or ceiling, okay? So what I did was I just basically went as far as I could until I got to a break, went up or down, usually up if I could help it, went as far as I could, and you can get to points where you can say, okay, I can only go one step, and here's a hole going down. So I knew right there I was on the right track because they wouldn't put that in unless they expected you to get up there. So I would get back down, tool around to where I knew I was under a part of that maze where I knew I could come back up, and I found it. And eventually, believe it or not, I did this way quicker than I did the sliding math puzzle. But I mean, it wasn't fun.
You're used to experiences like this.
No.
You played a bunch of dungeon crawlers back.
You're giving me way too much credit, Bode. I had no idea. I was doing the best I could. It was ridiculously hard. These sucked. Why they're in the game, I don't know.
It's funny because I read a comment from the creator of this game, and he said he put it in the game because it was another form of puzzle. Maze puzzles. Like if you buy one of those old school like games magazines that you get at the pharmacy or whatever, there's always mazes in there. And why not put a 3D multi-floor maze in your puzzle game?
Listen,
mazes are the bread and butter of this sort of genre.
Yeah.
And at the time, remember, this is 92. A 3D maze, that's a selling point.
Well, one of those would have been more than enough. They didn't have to put one in between like all the levels. That's too much. Yeah. So now we're on the next level, which is sort of the robotics computer level, okay? This one you have to do in a certain order. So the first thing you've got to do is you go into this room that looks like the inside of a computer, basically. And you are trying to build a circuit out of parts, all right? As far as I could tell, unless you do one dumb thing, you pretty much can't lose at the circuit. You have to put the switch in one spot and the power supply in one spot, but otherwise you're good to go. This wasn't hard at all, was it, Bo, this part?
Yeah, and this one wasn't hard. And again, if I would have been smart, I would have tried it on a higher difficulty level just to see what changed. But it's weird. I'll tell you something about this game.
Yeah.
It's all over the map when it comes to puzzle difficulty.
Yeah.
Because there'll be some things you're like, this isn't even a puzzle. And then there are other things, and it's like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing.
The second aspect of this is they'll give you a list of numbers and a list of switches, basically a 1 and a 0. And you have to make the number on the switches equal the number in the box. And when you do that, a little light bulb lights up. Like, what is this, binary or something, Bo? Is that what we're doing here?
What I can only imagine at this is how binary code works.
Yeah.
And again, this is a neat theme. This is the computer room, and they are teaching you various, of course, you're not going to go out and program anything at the end of this, but they're teaching you about how binary code works and stuff like that. So I thought this was pretty cool. This is definitely not like a normal style logic puzzle.
Well, I could get past it because you couldn't fail. So that was
right.
good.
You just keep clicking numbers and eventually you get the answer.
Because otherwise it's going to be a problem. So then, now this I thought was interesting. You come into this room, and it doesn't even really. You actually said the same room. You have to guide a robot car or tank through this maze, collecting these letters. Okay, and now in the maze, there are junctions where you can manipulate the turn of the car. Now the car always makes a right turn. Okay, and so sometimes to get what you want, you'll have to let him go past the place you are gonna manipulate. And then when you're on the way back, then you hit it. You activate it to get him to go right. It took me a little while to understand what the heck was going on, because there's also like whirlpools you've got to avoid. You'll be sucked down. You can turn them on and off. But actually, I thought this was kind of fun too, Bo. This wasn't too bad. I had managed to get through it without too much trouble.
Well,
and I liked it.
The thing that I will say in defense, I'll say a lot of things in defense of this game, is that they give you, it's not like you can die and you have to go back to the beginning when you fail these things. I mean, they let you try them as many times as you want.
Yeah.
And that a game like this, I mean, it's just about how much time do you have, and when you manage to complete it, you really feel like you've done something cool. You know, you figured out the control scheme, you figured out how to negotiate the obstacles and all that stuff. So I thought that this was a good one too.
You know, just to sort of ponder it for a minute. This game, and I heard people talk about it, I think they said you could beat this game if you were barreled through it and you were smart. You could go through it in a couple hours, okay, if you wanted to. But this would be the perfect game to get in your classroom back in the day when you're one computer and get the class together and say, okay, kids, today we're all going to give these math problems a shot. Or tomorrow we're going to, and this would be fun. Like, this is learning, but this is fun for the most part. Now, they're not all winners, okay, as we've discussed. Some of these are duds, but some of these are good. I think the circuit board was pretty clever. The binary, I like this whole side of the room, the hall was good stuff. And when you actually get that tank out the door, you feel pretty good about it. I mean, it's pretty cool, pretty clever the way they do it, and the fact that it's not mega hard, but it's challenging. Is they did a good job on the difficulty of this one. So that's the end of the fun, because now we're going into the realm of the unknown, Bo. And by unknown, I mean I don't think either one of us got past this part of the game.
No.
Because of our dumbness. So on the other part of the wall here, you got this gimmick that, I forgot about this. You've also got to...
There's a lot of pun humor in this game.
There's also you've got to put the punchline into jokes, all right? They've got 5 punchlines. You've got to match them with the jokes. The jokes are real bad, but they're funny. For kids, they'd be pretty good. I do like the one, what do you do if a computer is having a heart attack? What do you do to it? You give it CPU. I thought that was pretty funny. There's a couple pretty... Come on, I like that, Bo. Nothing?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, come on. So, but that's inoffensive, okay? But that's softening you up for the brutal pain that's to come when you have to fool with these robot heads. Let's talk about these robot heads. So you come to this laboratory, and there are 3 robot heads on a wall, and it's the old shtick, Bo. One of them always lies, one of them always tells the truth, and one of them, I don't know, it could do either one. Right?
Could either way, yeah.
And so what you've got to do in this sequence, what do you've got to do, Bo? Do you care to comment on what is this weird thing?
Well,
you're programming these things?
You're programming this robot to do this thing, and this is where I would have not played this game anymore.
Yeah, it's where I stopped because I couldn't get past it.
Yeah, and so, it's I don't know.
It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. You basically go to the Dr. Brain's computer and you try to program in a sequence for these robot heads. Okay, I had the walkthrough. Okay, I'm looking at it right here. And with the walkthrough, I still could not accomplish this.
Yeah.
And I tried a lot. I was like, what do you do here? And I don't know. So clearly, this was not a well put together section of the game.
Right.
I didn't like it. Once you program your head, it gives you a punch card. I wasn't even sure what to do with the punch card. I wasn't sure which robot.
You've got to move your robot around. It's another like top-down maze type thing, but it's so much more difficult than what you had to do in the tank game, because you have to outfit your robot with the correct loadout, and then you have to program the card. You stick the robot into the thing, and then the robot decides to the robot has to retrieve these objects based on what you programmed it to do. If you're listening to this show right now, I realize we're doing a horrible job explaining
it. It's impossible to explain these. So you have just ended. That's where we left off, because we didn't know what the heck we were doing. So we're gonna try to. We're gonna kind of briefly cover the rest of this. So once you get past that robot section, guess what? It's time for another longer, more complicated, more detailed maze section, Boat. So it's a good thing because I guarantee you would have quit there. Now, as you get up here to these, your next levels are basically made up of words. And it's funny, I've heard people mention this, and I'm going to mention it too. It seems like they really went nuts in the first few levels of this game, and at the end here, they sort of like wean out. The games become much more standard fare. The next one's basically like a word search. They just say you've got 15 words remaining, and you go through and try to find all the words. That's it.
Now, one thing that I like about word searches is they tell you what words are in the puzzle.
Yeah.
Guess what? In this word search, they don't.
They don't.
You have to figure it out on your own. And this isn't some 8x8 word search either. This is like a 25x25 grid. It's intense.
Yeah, it's a big one, and some of the and including diagonals, Boat. They don't screw around. So once you do that, they take all the words you found, and then they put them in one of these puzzles that's sort of like a crossword, where like every word you've put together, one letter from it will build up one overriding
Yeah, there's a name for it.
word.
It's like acrostic or something like that. Where you have a bunch of horizontal words, and then you choose one vertical stripe, and that is a word as well.
There's a name for it, all right, but I can't say it on the air. Then you get to one of these. What do they call these triangular puzzles, Boat? I don't know what these are called. They have a name too. Basically,
Dynamorph.
You're spelling the word enter, and you're using various. What'd you say it was called?
Dynamorph.
Is that true?
No.
Oh, I believed you, you jerk. Don't do that. So anyway, you're using these pieces of a triangular puzzle to put together a word. Okay. It's basically sort of like a puzzle, like a jigsaw.
It's like
puzzle.
a jigsaw puzzle, yeah.
So but don't worry, there's an actual jigsaw puzzle that comes up later on, and here it is. So the next bit you're doing it. You can see how these really petered out here at the end, Boat. So we didn't really miss much. This is just a straight up jigsaw puzzle. Everyone likes sitting at their computer and playing jigsaw. It reminds me back in the old days of the Atari 2600, where they thought to themselves, sure, people will buy a cartridge where you use a Rubik's Cube or play tic-tac-toe.
Okay. Hold on right there. First of all, I'll tell you there's a couple things that are cool about this.
Okay.
One is that the pieces snap, like when you put a piece in the right place, it snaps too. So you don't have to like manipulate it crazily. Number two, that you start out with a picture of a chest. The chest is part of the jigsaw puzzle, and you pull the pieces out of the chest. That's pretty darn cool. Third of all, I like doing jigsaw puzzles on my computer, and I do them to this day. So there.
Well, what have we learned, ladies and gentlemen? Boat, just when you think, man, Boat's the biggest dork I've ever seen, bam, he dorks it up even more, Boat. Did you have the Rubik's Cube and the tic-tac-toe for your Atari 2600? I bet you did.
I had 3D tic-tac-toe for the Atari 8.
What a geek. So anyway, if you think to yourself, man, there's no other way I could do jigsaws on my computer, you could go pick this up and then try to struggle through the maze to get here. Good luck, pal. That's all I'm saying. So, once you take 1,000 years to work on that jigsaw puzzle, then it's time to play some Hangman. Everybody likes Hangman, right? Except in this case, you're playing it with an actual man hanging from a gallows. Now it's
very dark.
It's a dummy, right? But guess what? Once you complete the Hangman, this dummy comes to life. He's like, "Thanks, dude." So we're gonna hang a real guy. So probably not the best choice. I do like it. We used to play Hangman in school. You know, it's a fun game, but maybe this can come up with. I mean, listen, in this modern age, they'll have to come up with something better because no one likes the old Hangman anymore. So, as we near the end of this thing, we're going through another more complicated, more difficult maze, each more complicated than the last. And I saw LGR do a thing on this, and he said this was straight from the devil's hiney right here. He showed the list. It's brutal. It is brutal, Boat. So, last level, it's the sort of the stars and space level here. Amongst the puzzles you'll complete here is a puzzle where you simply connect the dots to make constellations. I don't have
not really a
that.
puzzle,
but I don't know. It's kind of neat. You learn about.
Well, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a puzzle. You're basically just clicking on stars. The stars form lines, and when you've clicked on all the stars and the lines, they form a constellation. It's a neat thing. Listen, a game like this, it's clear that they were running out of ideas at this point.
Yeah.
And they had this idea for a planetarium at the end because you're at the top of the castle. You wanted to look out and see the stars. That's cool. So they were really reaching for things here, but I thought that was kind of neat.
I do too. And then, but just when you think, man, are they devoid of ideas? Well, they are. Now, because then it's time for the matching game with the cards. And so you've got to match the cards up, the old memory game. You've seen that?
Yep.
You like these two, Boat, on the computer? You a big fan of these, Boat?
Listen, kind of. I play
geek.
Mahjong all the time.
Oh, my God.
It's sort of similar.
Where do you find the time, Boat? I can imagine Boat of car, teacher, man about town, but he's got 2 hours to play Jigsaw on the computer. That's baffling to me. You kidding me, Boat? Get that out. So once you've done your memory game, which by the way I'm not so good at those, Boat, you may be stunned to realize.
Stunned, yeah.
Then you've got this last. I'm not even sure what this last bit of the game is. This
so
is
what
where
you
ideas.
click on a planet and then you click on the planet's name and that's how you beat it.
So, how do you know that?
Because I watched the video.
Hey, let me ask you: is at this point in the world, right? I'm guessing that Pluto is still in there. Is that right?
Pluto's still in there.
Beautiful,
yeah.
man.
So, but yeah, that and again, you're learning stuff. Like you have to know the order of the planets as they go out. And so I mean, it's still somewhat educational.
Very good. So finally, you get to Dr. Brain's office. Okay. Dr. Brain ain't there. All right. So you know what that means. That means you got to do some other weird crap. I will say Dr. Brain has the same desk chair as the boss from IT. What's that show? The IT crowd. The giant hand. So that's kind of cool. But hey, maybe they're one and the same. So this last bit, you've got to match up these various, occupations in a puzzle.
All you're doing here is you're dragging the plaques onto the plaque. You're dragging the little things onto the plaque. That's it. That's the whole. It's not even a puzzle. So
these last batches of puzzles. Having looked through these a second time, these really are duds. I mean, they really phoned it in. Finally, you will actually get to be in the presence of the man, the great man, for a few minutes, Dr. Brain. He takes you into his ultimate control room. And that's pretty much where the game winds up.
He shows you now, I will say the ending of this game is very cool. You see little digitized pictures of all the people that worked on the game. They appear in television sets. This kind of looks like a TV control room. So the ending of this game is definitely above and beyond a lot of game endings that we see.
What do you think about
that's
these?
Cool.
We see a lot of these games where the people that make the game sort of slip themselves in there. Maybe they're digitized. Maybe their name pops up. Maybe a guy sings about them. What do you think about a guy or a team of guys that stick themselves in the game like that so overtly? Are you down with that, or is that sort of?
Yeah, why would you not do that? Huh. If you spent a huge part of your life working on a game, why would you not want to have your visage appear in a playful way on the credits?
I don't know. If I went through the whole castle of Dr. Brain, do I really care who Dean Schmoo is at the end? I want to see some action.
It's not about the player, but it's when you watch a movie, do you always stay and read the names on the credits?
God, no.
But it's not for you.
You know what they do in the movies? Like, you ever see a Marvel movie in the theater?
I hate what they do.
The movie
they put stupid crap at the end of the credits.
but no, it's not even at the end of the credit. They may be something. But I'm talking. There's a spot between after the movie and before the real credits roll, and they put a gimmick in there. That's what I like. If guys want to,
but again, this is so much better than just having a scrolling credit scene. I don't understand why you're down on this. No. This is better than most game endings of games that we've got.
I'm just saying, I want a happy medium. Like, those games where there's a menu and it says at the bottom about, and you click it. Then they can put in the wacky thing.
This game has that also.
Well, yeah, but you only need one. You don't need them both. That's what I'm saying.
Why are you complaining about this?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's something that always
what a stupid thing to complain about.
It always bothers me in these games. That doesn't always bother me, but sometimes it does. So, but what do you think of this game? I mean, we were sort of all over the map with it. What are your thoughts on this thing?
Listen, one of my favorite books of all time is a book called Grover Goes to the Museum.
Okay. I'm sorry. Please go. I'm not laughing at you. Something's in my eye. Go ahead.
And Grover, he goes in all these different rooms in the museum, and it's just cool because the art is very good. The art is very good, and that's
Yeah.
the way I kind of feel about the Castle of Dr. Brain. Now, are the colors the best in this game? No, but each one of these rooms looks cool. Each one of the puzzles does not look great. Okay, some of the puzzles definitely have a lot more artistic quality than others, but you really get the idea that you're moving through different floors of the castle, and it puts you. Again, this is the opposite of the reason why I hate dungeon crawlers. Because in dungeon crawlers, you're doing the same crap over and over again for dozens of hours in this dank, dark dungeon where all the walls look the same. In the Castle of Dr. Brain, every floor is completely different. So when you complete a level, part of the treat is getting to see this whole new section. And I really I'm a sucker for this pseudo 3D art perspective, this kind of forced perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Now, this game is all over the map. There are some puzzles in this game that are great, some that are okay, and some that are awful.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting the things that aren't really puzzles.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is the designer of this game, I think, wanted to make a computer version of one of those books that you get that are full of puzzles. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. When you get one of those books full of puzzles, did you ever get a book like that to take on a car trip or something like that?
Oh, yes. Many. That's all we had. That was our Game Boy boat.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing. When you
horrible.
can't get past a puzzle, or if you don't like a particular section of puzzles, what do you do with the book?
You throw it at your dad while he's driving.
No.
Oh, that's
flip
right.
To the
You're
next
ripping
chapter.
it. You rip the page out.
You flip to the next chapter and you work on puzzles in a genre that you enjoy. And that's what would have made Dr. Brain a great game. If they would have said, "Welcome to the Castle of Dr. Brain," and then brought you into a foyer where you had all of these different rooms, and you could choose the order at which you attack the room. So you could say, well, I like time puzzles, so I'm going to go to the time room first. You've still got to beat all the puzzles to get to Dr. Brain's office, but let the player choose what order they want to tackle the puzzles in. And at least they'll get to see everything, because I guarantee you 70% of the people that played this game would have got stuck at that stupid cuckoo clock puzzle, because it makes no sense. It makes no logical sense what you have to do.
The brilliant Chris Edwards here, he made a very genius level comment. This was the first panic room game. Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was listening to Boat. This is like the crap you would find in a panic room, a lot of this stuff. It's amazing. And I think, first of all, you're dead on with the foyer gimmick, okay? But this guy, you got to give him credit. He was a slave to the idea of the Castle of Dr. Brain. You move up the castle, and so he liked that. That's the way he did it, all right? I agree with you. If you don't like one castle, well,
it's not even the castle. It's just you've got a castle has tons of rooms in it.
Right.
Why don't you just let the player choose what room they go to first?
I'm just saying, I agree with you. But this guy had a vision, man. He wanted to do it.
Yeah, he did have a vision.
And also, remember, this game was sort of like from the early 90s where they punished ignorance. They demanded.
Yep, that's
they
right.
weren't just going to give
Especially
you a free
Sierra
ride.
games. They were well known for punishing ignorance.
So that's the way it
games.
goes. Now, with all that said, Boat, so I would say we both agree that this is a sort of fun. This isn't the kind of game I could just put the Luke in front of and say, "Go to work, kid," because he would be too hard to figure out. But I mean, because it was hard for Dad. But I could see where they were going, and
I think you had a great idea there. This would be a perfect game for a teacher to be there at the front of the class, have the class gathered around it, and the kids try and figure stuff out. The kids are shouting out answers. You're trying stuff. You're getting through these as a team.
Yeah, that's exactly It's exactly what I thought. Now, at the end of the day, our opinions matter a little. Let's see what the opinions of all the geniuses in the magazines were at the time, Bo.
Okay, man.
So, Amiga Action gave this a 79, Amiga Format an 81. I should mention that the good folks over at Lemon gave it a 7.25. So you're going to see a trend here. Amiga Mania, brother, gave it a 78. CU Amiga 78, the 175. But then you got some lower scores where people just didn't get into it. Amiga Power when they, gave it a 61. Our friends over at Amiga Joker, they also punished ignorance. And they thought this game was ignorant. Gave it a big 50% Boat. Middle of the road. The total cumulative score, as determined by the folks at Lemon, 72%. So we're talking here, we're talking a passing grade here, Boat. But how would you, we've done some good educational titles. How would you compare this in terms of the quality to a Mavis Beacon, for example, or a Carmen Sandiego that we did the last couple months?
Well, I don't know that you're really coming out of this game with a whole lot of extra knowledge.
Yeah.
This is a game that teaches you how to think logically sometimes, but it's not really a game that's teaching you a specific skill. Like, it's not teaching you how to type. It's not teaching you how to, look up things in an encyclopedia or geography or something. So I don't know if would you even call it, entertain or edutainment?
Would you call it entertainment? It's a better question. No, I would. I think it's. I mean, I think you learn.
It's like in the chat they're saying this is like the first escape room game.
Yeah.
Like when
that's
are
what,
those
that's
escape
what I said.
rooms?
Panic room. That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Are those escape rooms? Are they teaching you things? I mean, I guess you're using your brain.
They're testing your logical abilities to work under pressure. So I think this qualifies. I mean, certainly if Mavis Beacon is the king dong of actually you getting a skill from playing. I mean, I think it's number one. But I think this was a distant third behind Carmen Sandiego, where you learn something in that too. But I mean, this is more of something to test you to make sure that you're still frosty, and to like you said, this would be a great fun. Like at the end of the class, you got like a half hour. I don't know what you do in the band, but if you're if you got a bunch of like fifth graders or third graders, you're like, hey kids, it's time for fun, and they're like, oh God, no. Then you break this out, and they might get into it because it's just wacky enough.
Yeah. I mean, the only foil in that plan was if you get to one of those 3D maze levels, because then everybody's screwed. You're not getting through that with the fifth grade class.
So how do we do over on the Discord, Boatster?
We got some reviews. Jigglebox says, my wife and I had a lovely long weekend at the castle and found our host, Dr. and Mrs. Brain, to be excellent company. The breakfasts were fantastic, and it was only a short walk to the nearby beach. We have no hesitation in recommending this to other TripAdvisor users as excellent value for money, 8 out of 10.
Jigglebox, he went above and beyond with that description.
Crabs MTG says, it's the best game of all time because I suggested it. LOL, 11 out of 10.
He said he beat it in 5 minutes, Boat, just now in the chat.
Wow.
Do you believe
That's
that?
Impressive.
Makes us look kind of dumb.
Graham W. Vebke says, I'm usually somewhat excited by puzzle games, but this game doesn't do it for me. There's probably a decent game here if you spend time with it, but finding the enthusiasm to spend time with it is the challenge. I had great difficulty reading the brown with black text, cyan with orange text, green with red text, etc. All eye-burning disasters. It's a shame they didn't spend time making the visuals better here. I also don't understand why many of the puzzles didn't take up all the screen, but instead were windowed and small with often gaudy backgrounds. Aaron, this might be a good time to do the old port comparison.
Oh, good idea, Bo. This was released on Amiga and DOS and NEC, a few others. And what you got here is sort of like what we said, sort of a washed out mess of a game. I mean, when compared to the big dog, the DOS version of this, the VGA version, you don't see it until you get sort of into the game a little bit. I'm going to skip ahead here so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. But you can see that the DOS version is glossier. I mean, just look at that. You can tell from just that scene right there if you're watching on the video. The stones look better. The shadowing looks better. It's just it's a sharper image than you would get on the Amiga, in my opinion. What do you think, Bode?
Yeah, I mean, this is. Yeah, I know. It's a joke at this point, but this really looks like the AGA version of the game. There's more variance in the amount of colors that are on the screen.
Yeah, it's cleaner looking, and so you're gonna that's what you're gonna get though, because VGA. I mean, it took them a while, but they eventually caught up. I will say, in the defense of the Amiga, in '92, it's not like everybody had a sound card in VGA.
Sure,
sure. So it's not like everyone that had a PC was playing it at this level, but it was available if you needed it.
Yeah. All right, so we move on to our next review. Oh, and we finish up Graham, actually. Graham says, even novice level is a challenge, so a clue book is probably needed unless you have patience and previously said enthusiasm. Overall, I give this 6 out of 10. And finally, Pixels of Dawn writes, he says, I started this up, cranked it up to expert, and rapidly paid the price. And like a lot of edutainment titles, this is more of a puzzle game than a straight educational title, almost in the vein of something like Myst or The Seventh Guest, but dang, this at expert level is a challenge to an adult. The puzzles do seem to be fun, but I'm stuck near the start at the moment because I suck at sliding tile puzzles.
Oh, good.
But I refuse to turn the difficulty down, and I'm looking forward to playing this again. I like the atmospheric music, but the graphics are clearly downscaled VGA graphics, and the engine is a bit slow and clunky on the 68,000. That said, this is actually a decent challenge for adults and one of the better edutainment titles I've seen on the platform. Looking forward to more. 7 out of 10.
I can't imagine what the slide puzzle is on Expert. Too hard. Because I hate those. I remember having those as a kid in the car, and I realized pretty early on that you could just pop those little tiles out and put them in any way you wanted. That's what I used to do.
You know, Aaron, it'll probably make you love the Mac even more to know that the only game that shipped with the original Macintosh computer was the sliding tile game.
Oh God, no. You know, you mentioned something. I wanted to mention this before we moved on. Those old puzzle books used to get.
Yeah.
This game, if you look at the box, this includes a puzzle book. So
oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. You're right.
So I will say they had the same thing in mind, but they just stuck a puzzle book in the book. So good move. Oh, one last item: the eBay on this. I looked it up. They are available now and again. I've seen one go recently in the States. $45, give or take, and $25. So you may be paying into the $20 to $40 range if you look around.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Well, let's go ahead and leave the fabulous castle of Dr. Brain, bid Mr. Brain and his lovely wife adieu, and head on over to the YouTube channel to see what's been going on over there, man.
Good idea, Boatster. So, pretty normal week this week. We'll start off with myself and the Brent on ARG Presents. We had a fun time, Boat, this week. We looked at the Jupiter Ace. It was a return appearance for the Ace, and what a nutty system this is. The big draw for the Jupiter Ace was that it used the programming language Forth in lieu of BASIC on it. And so this was supposed to be 10 times faster than BASIC, Boat. We looked at a couple games. I looked at a game called Owler, which on the surface looked like a pretty cool game. You play an owl, you get out to pick up eggs with letters on them, and you go up to the top and try to make words out of them. Try to match the word that the computer's thinking of. And when you put the egg down on the little tray, it will tell you if your letter is to the left of that or to the right of it, or you got it right. The problem is, this plays like Double Secret Super Death, Boat. It's impossible. So this looked like a good idea, but sucked.
Yeah, well, it's one of those games that sounds like a good idea in theory, but in actual application, especially because the letters are random and scrambled, so sometimes you just don't get the letters you need, which is no good.
Yeah. Did you try this one, Boat?
No, I listened to you guys talk about
it. My brother got a little more conventional and played a game called Tut Tut. This is like a port of a port, basically. It's funny, the guy that did this, that ported this over, he just did it in 2020. And his name is George Beckett, and he actually watched the show, and he actually, because I told him, I mentioned that I had trouble playing this on the Mister because I didn't have an ACE file to use. He had to file in a TAP format for a cassette, and he made an ACE file for me and uploaded it. So he contacted and said he thought it was a good review. So it's always neat to hear from the people that actually made the game. So that was cool. But this is a pretty fun game, Boat. I think you'd get a kick out of this, but it's sort of right up your alley. It's kind of reminded me of Speed a little bit, Boat. But a fun time. So if you're into the Jupiter Ace or just want to look at something different for a change, this would be a fun show to watch. Next on the docket, Boatster. By God, we went and did it. It's the 1200 XL show. And this time out, we chose Montezuma's Revenge. Why don't you talk about it, Boat?
So Montezuma's Revenge is a game. It's one of our bedroom coder games. The guy that did this, I believe, was only 16 years old when he did it. It's a classic story. Him and his dad formed an unstoppable business team, and he went forth and got this thing published by none other than Parker Brothers, which was a huge name in the computer and console market at this time. In 82 through 84, Parker Brothers was paying big bucks for licenses. And this is a game that's sort of like America's version of a game like Manic Miner or Jet Set Willy. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more forgiving, but it's a flip screen platformer. You're going through, you're collecting different items. But you're using those items for various things. I guess there's really, it's a little bit deeper because you're not just trying to get through the game. You're actually collecting items and using items. It's almost sort of like, and I think we talked about this on the show. It's sort of like a pre-Metroid type game, Metroidvania, if you will. So it's definitely one of the best games on the Atari 8-bits. It's a stone cold classic. You owe it to yourself to play it. This or one of the newer versions, the Montezuma DX, is also very good. So check it out. Yeah, it's a great game.
It's also, you can play it on the ColecoVision. Had a version of it. Listen, we both discussed it. It's a top, both our favorite games. Just love it. It is way easier, way easier than Jet Set Willy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a challenge. I mean, this is far less frustrating than those, and it's a lot of fun. It's cute. And Boat does a great job with the history on this. I really enjoyed your history part of this, Boat. It was real interesting to see where this guy came from. So well done on that. So yeah, check that out. That's 1200 XL. Next on the docket here. Oh man, well, I'm going to talk about it. The Taito Egret 2 Mini. If you tuned in, when did we record this, Boat? Was it last Sunday or was this last?
It was a week ago today.
Holy smokes! Boat pulled one of his patented bits and blindsided me with this show. Didn't tell me we're doing it. Didn't tell me the subject of the show. And what we talked about was the Taito Egret 2 Mini, which is a Taito mini cabinet that has a couple of special gimmicks. It will split. The screen will turn into Tate mode if you so choose to play the Tate games, and you could also use separate controls on it to have a spinner and what was the other thing? It was a spinner and something else on there. Wasn't
a spinner and a trackball.
Right, a trackball. So if you want that sort of stuff, you're golden. It also has a separate controller. There's a different type of controller. What was the final tally on this thing if you wanted the whole ball?
So if you get it all, if you get both controllers, I think there's a CD soundtrack plus the unit itself. It's an expensive proposition. We're talking about $450.
Yeah. And then we get into, I don't know how we got into the conversation of comparing. First, we compare, we fight about which is better, Space Invaders or Dragon's Lair. Then we compare the Mini to arcade machines. We go off on multiple weird tangents in this. So if you want to see me pop a blood vessel at one point and generally have a conniption, this is the show for you. All the while, Boat gleefully sucks away on its stupid water. So there you go. that was that show. And then Boat wouldn't put it up, and it did okay for us. Now, guess who's back in town, Boatster? Jack Flack. He's back.
Oh, yeah.
And this time out, and I watched this. I was live. I was happy because we hadn't seen the Flackster for a couple weeks. He'd been on vacation in Flo Rida. But he's back. And he's back with a vengeance, Boat. It was time for him to play some wacky. He played a demo there, but it was time for wacky vacation pictures because it was California Games, Boat. California Games. We've had a couple of cups of coffee with the old California Games back in the day.
Oh yeah, on multiple systems.
And you'll recall the heated foot bag competition we had way back in the day. And it was one of our
original Amigos high score challenges from way back in the day.
Oh man, those were a lot of fun too. They're always a good time. But Flack goes to work, plays. He goes to all the events. By the way, Flack's great at this game. It was sickeningly good. I was appalled at how great he was compared to how horrible we were.
Yeah, I'm horrible at
this.
Hey,
what's your favorite event on this, Boat? We were talking
Foot
about
bag.
it. That's what I said. And people were surprised. And a lot of people said they liked BMX racing.
I think BMX racing is too punishing. Because the first thing I do is immediately land on my neck. And then they say I can't continue. Listen, I've landed on my neck tons of times. I still continue.
That would explain a lot, Boat. It would explain that Egret 2 conversation if you land on your bean a few times. We could all agree that the worst of it on this was by a long shot. It's that idiotic skating event. We all hate that.
Well, the controls on that are just atrocious.
Yeah, that stupid chick. She needs to stay off the skates. Walk, honey. So anyway, if you want to watch the Flackster get down to funky with some California Games and go through the whole bit and show some amusing and adorable pictures, this is the stream for you. Flack is back. It's good to have him back in the fold. Now, moving right along. Look at this, Boat. It's the Acetronic MPU 1000 Games montage.
Yeah.
Where did this come from, Boat? Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Hermsky went bananas.
I have no idea where this came from.
I don't know what the Acetronic MPU is, and I am on a part of ARG Presents. So
I was going to say, this may be something that you guys need to cover. I guess this was one of the first color consoles on the market, 1978. So we're talking about, very early on. And I will say that these games sort of resemble kind of maybe Odyssey 2 type games. There's a lot of maze games. There's a lot of shooting games. This is basically, if the Atari 2600 hadn't gotten the developer support that it did, and people didn't really learn how to use it to the extent that they did, this is sort of what we would have ended up, because these are like Gen 1 2600 games, basically.
These don't look bad.
No, they don't look bad at all.
I'm looking at these. I'm like, because the Acetronic MPU, I got to look into this thing. And there's 1,000. It says here 1,000 games montage. Surely not.
No. The MPU 1000 is the name of the system.
Oh, I got it. I was just checking your chain, but I think that's funny. Yeah, 1,000 games montage. That's a lot of games of that thing. But these do look pretty good, Boat. I mean, they look pretty similar to some of the listen, they didn't reinvent the wheel here. Every machine has a lot of these games. I wonder what this thing was
pinball game. That pinball game looks
man. How often
looks suspect.
How often do you have to replace the motors in these things? When you get to pull the pop. These things are spinning like they're going out of control. Listen, Hermsky, I salute you, my friend. You've done it again. Just when you think he's run out of wacky things, he's whacked it up again. So check that out, for the love of God. You got to look at that. Now, speaking of gotta watch, it's our good pal, Frodo NL.
Mm-hmm.
Frodo. Now this is an older video. I mean, this is taped a couple weeks ago. You may be alarmed to learn, Boat, that if he doesn't have it by now, I think he was in the chat, he will be having it soon. But I think he's got it. This is a man with a beautiful turquoise coif of hair, Boat.
Oh yeah, he's got it. He's got it now. He was streaming yesterday, and I watched a little bit of it. He's got the blue hair. It's
outstanding. I love that. Good for you. Listen, Frodo went and raised some funds, and one of the push goals amongst the many goals was to get the old hair dye job. Mm-hmm. And he went and did it. Like he manned up and went to work, and I approve of that. I mean, anyone that would wear a penguin suit as much as he does, blue hair didn't seem like that big a chore to me.
Right.
He has a go. This is part 2 of his look at the first years of the Nintendo Game Boy. We talked about how this is a system that's sort of close to your heart, Boat.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. And in fact, at 40 minutes and 8 seconds, he played the one and only Henkaio Alien, one of my favorite games that you had a little dabble with on your Game Boy stream last week.
It is funny. I did have a Friday night Amigo Aaron disaster stream, and we played Game Boy games. And we did. Yes, I do remember. This is one of your favorite games.
I love this game.
I had no idea what was happening in this game, Boat.
I never knew either. I just
why
like
is this one of your
around.
favorites?
It's a world you want to exist in, man. You just live it.
Because this guy's making holes and those creatures will eat you. And when they catch you, they actually devour you on screen.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
That's not fun. I don't want to be devoured. So anyway, check out Frodo and his Nintendo Game Boy Part 2. And also, just to knock it back a step, Frodo and Jack Flack, they both stream. So if you can, hop on Twitch, look them up, and check out their various streams. Frodo streams, gosh, at least 3 or 4 times a week. Flack streams every Wednesday at, I believe, 9 o'clock. He'll do his Sprite Castle show. So they're like clockwork.
And Frodo's Twitch channel is Frodo NL, and Flack's Twitch channel is Robo.
Thank you, Boat. Thank you. That's why we keep you around, my friend. I think that's all we got here. Oh, Boat, what's happening this week? Oh boy, I hate to ask this. What's happening on this week in retro this week, Boat?
Well, this past week we asked the question, Aaron. Is the retro bubble about to burst?
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk on different articles saying that people have run out of stuff to spend money on. They're in the pandemic. They're locked up. They were locked up for a year. They found a bunch of hobbies, but now that they're going out again, and now that the outdoors is picking back up as an activity, are we reaching the end of crazy high prices? So I think that you and I may have a discussion about that after the show. So we'll table that for now.
Yeah,
But
because
we
I have an
talked about
opinion.
that. We also talked about a new game called Wing Leader, Aaron. Now I know
Yeah,
that you check this out. You're a big Wing Commander
I
fan,
am.
and did you like what you saw here with Wing Leader?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I like it. A jacked up wing commander. Yes, that's what I want. So I would love to see that. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
I found it intriguing. But let's put it that way.
We talked about there's a guy that has figured out how to make his own ZX81 or ZX80 using, of course, nothing but new parts. So unlike the Amiga projects where you have to use donor chips, you can actually build a ZX80 or 81 out of, parts, just normal electronics parts. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
And finally, there is a new disk of data found for one of my favorite games of all time, Earthbound, the JRPG that's really, really wacky. One of the translators thought that he wrote over a disc full of dialogue that was later cut from the game, but he gave the disc to the Video Game History Foundation. They used some reverse magic to somehow resurrect the data, even though it had been written over. And so now there's a couple more lines of dialogue that we didn't know about, and it's pretty crazy stuff that they cut. So you can listen to that, and of course we have our normal friendly banter between Neil and I. So yeah, this week in retro, make sure you listen to the latest episode. We'll talk more about that next week.
Hey, this Earthbound gimmick. Does this
Yeah.
make you care? I mean, you said that I couldn't tell if you were joking. Did they literally just find a little bit of dialogue, or is this
They
like a
literally
big
they
deal?
found a little bit. I mean, the dialogue was funny. You could tell why it was cut. There was a scene where you had to go to the beach, and they're like, you need to go get an oil massage from this chick. She gives real interesting massages on the beach.
Oh
And
my!
and so that was one of the lines that was cut. But it's nothing earth shattering. It's not like they found like a secret dungeon that hadn't been published or anything.
Uh-huh.
But it's always fun when you have things that were lost and then somebody thinks they're gone forever and they come back.
I like the fact that Earthbound was working a little blue, Bode.
Oh yeah,
That's-
oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I think that covers it, Boaster. A pretty busy week this week, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of course we've got high score challenges going on all the time over on the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord. We still have the wacky Helter Skelter high score challenge on Amiga, and then on the Spectrum we are winding down our Jetpack challenge. It's going to be live for another week or so. You can get in there, post your high score on Jetpack.
Yes, and good luck.
All right, Aaron, we've reached the part of the show where we thank all the fine folks that make this show possible, including our Twitch subscribers. Now, Aaron, of course, you can subscribe to our Twitch channel. If you like watching the show live, we record every Friday at 5:30. If you've got an Amazon Prime subscription, you get to sub to us for free, and it still throws us a couple bucks, so we appreciate that. We want to thank Macintosh Librarian, Mitsuyama, Pints and Amiga, Daha Crabs MTG, Eeyore 4077, Scumboy, Blow Jellyfish, Frodo NL, ChronosNet, Orom, Blue Train, Christian Russell, Negsol, Explorer, Jigglebox, Uber Scuba Diver, Gary Heather, Peeplo, Lumin808, Paco Take, Ame Steph, Retro Jerry, Hermsky, Smrediger1, Buck Owens, RMC Retro, Jost80, Dave Velociraptor, ZZ Zierfall, Matt Dufort, Latwarski, Butterberg 3000, Dave's and Donuts, Texas Footballer, Exile in Paradise, John Marshall 3, RetroRewind.ca, Chris Edwards Restoration, Beach Bum 7, Still Adolescing, McCheesers, and Pixel Rageous.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for subscribing to us on Twitch.
A lot of new names in there, Bode.
Absolutely. We love it. We love it. We appreciate it. All right, Aaron. Now, we did pick up some new Amigos supporters this week. We want to give a special welcome to McChessers. I think I called them McCheesers earlier, but it's actually McChessers.
McCheesers sounds like the newest potato chip or something.
Right.
McCheesers.
What
a welcome,
McChessers. Sorry for messing up your name right off the bat. And we want to welcome Chris Edwards from the fabulous Chris Edwards Restoration Channel.
Yeah.
Thank you for becoming a patron of Amigos.
And check out his channel. It's solid gold. He's always got wacky crap on there about the Amiga, Bode.
Yeah. Now, Aaron, last week, the Patreon Song Challenge was Come Together by the Beatles. And we got quite a few correct responses. We got Barkbit, Super Tech Boy, Frodo NL, Ronnie Young, Chris Folds, TMX Online, Matthew Perron, Blip Bop, CBM Nut, and Edvin Helen. So congratulations to everybody who guessed. Come Together by the Beatles.
You continue to desecrate the Beatles month after month. Why? I like the Beatles. Why?
Listen, man, I'm trying to turn the corner with you and those guys. I'm trying to make you hate them.
That's horrible, Boat.
So, this week, Aaron, we're back to a full band Patreon song. This is one, I'm not going to lie to you, Aaron. This one was this one was not easy to do. I spent almost as much time working on this song as I did the Castle of Dr. Brain this week. But I think you all will enjoy it. If you do know the name of the song, send me a message at john@amigospodcast.com. Please do not answer in the chat if you're watching live, just to make it fun for everybody. And I will announce you as a winner on next week's show. All right, Aaron, hit it.
Ram, okay. David Terrace, Jude Carlos, Matthew Mobius, the Phantom Magnus, Seth Yates, Alistair Fiend, Christian Russo, David Z, George Rosansky, The Amiga Show, Daniel Crabtree, Super Family, Crazy Loomis, William Banter, Scott, Heavy Systems, Bundy Fraglo, Mark Violent, Olaf Permsky, Jonah A.K., Simulant Alien, Breeder Dave Lost Raptor, Cowbird Boy, Lane Denson, Luke Hudson, John Cook, Bomb 6, The Bass, Frodo and L, Solin Liza, Tech Mage, Jurgen, Mr. Cola, Daniel Williams, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dennington, Zork Club Reflection, Simon Ledge, Cap and Caspi, Kilobytes and Caffeine, Gary, Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, 10-minute Amiga, Retro Cast, Bernard Quinn, RMCJ, Samuel Joseph Harrison, Blackbeard! Bolenberg, Andrew Munns, Joe the Zombie, Leif Kellan, Alan Kebab, Checote, Level Lord John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, a creepy dead boy. Viggy CTC, the slow Norris, Stefan Sorgard Mortensen, Edvin Helen Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abacris, Foles, Lauren Jurgo, Graham Bevy, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro Vintage, Gary Hucker, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tate from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THE, Eric Nelson, Kim, Tommy, Boomberg, Stad, Daniel Bankston, Bruto, Barra, Huda, Darren, Bowles, Jason Moore, Pixels, at dawn, yo, 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 barman.
All right. So if you know the name of that song, John at AmigosPodcast.com, and we'll announce the winners next week. Speaking of next week, Aaron, it is we're changing. We're moving out of the edutainment zone, and we're moving in to some things that the Amiga does best. That's right, 3D stuff. This next game, Aaron, I've already had a look at it. CyberCon 3 is what we're going to be doing next week.
CyberCon 3?
CyberCon 3. And guess what? There is no CyberCon 2 or CyberCon 1.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It's so good they started with 3.
Listen, with a name like that, I can't tell you how excited I am about next week's show, CyberCon. It's the big con, Boat.
That's right. That's right. It was suggested by Amigos Game Selection Committee member Blindo75. We want to thank Crabs MTG for suggesting the Castle of Dr. Brain to the committee, and the committee, of course, were voting on it. We appreciate that. If you do want to become a member of the Amigos Game Selection Committee, you can head on over to patreon.com/Amigos Podcast. You get a lot of cool things. You get the ad-free show, you get access to our Discord, and you get our undying love. So, and Aaron, before we wrap this bad boy up, we do have quite the crowd today over in the old chat. So I thought we'd take a second just to say thank you to all these fine folks that are watching us live, including our fantastic moderators, Duncan Styles and Pixels at Dawn Gaming. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. And in the chat, we've got Tenmark, Alexara27, Amiga Live, Antony Jostraub, Bitstorm Bliplop, Joe Blow Jellyfish, Brock101, Chris Edwards Restoration, Cobrian, Commander Root, Crabs MTG, Delamort78, Edvin Helen, Frodo NL, Forward, Jigglebox, Great Owl G, Casserin, L. Curtis Boyle, All Hail, McChessers, Mitsuyama, Oil of Hope, Picard 2010, Pixel Ragus, Raidens, Rob O'Hara, Streamer Page Discord, probably not a bot, Super Tech Boy, Tom Toms, Toy Moy, Trevin 201, VNK, Vigora Toxico, Violets TV, Vigoro Pros, Wishbone, Explorer, and Yamical.
You got to have a song to announce those. You got to do a duet, like a double.
The song is just 87 songs. That's all the show
turns
into.
That's all the show is. We would have nobody want. It'd be a very short song at the end.
It would be a sort of short show, yeah. All right. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. We will see you for CyberCon. I've already forgotten the name of it. What is it? CyberCon 3.
That's right, the big 3.
We'll see you guys later.
Adios.